I always set it a little early just so I get a sense of time space. When it goes off, I'm not like, bye, Amy. You know, I wouldn't do that anyway. Be very awkward. All right. You ready? Sweet. And that's all set?
It's started just now.
Okay. Sweet. All right. So I'm going to close my eyes. You're welcome to close your eyes here just at the beginning with me. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So I'm running that spiral of protection. Oh, there's your energy. Oh, it's so good. All right. Bringing in your higher self. Sorry, I'm laughing immediately. Your higher self, my higher self, any guides, ancestors, past self, and angels that want to come forward for this reading today for Amy, only highest good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, you've had, well, you know, and COVID too, like, has been a thing for everybody these last few years. But these last few years, I feel like it's like feet to the fire, feet to the fire, feet to the fire. Like, what they showed me with your higher self is like a dragon image. Like, there's this sense of just like, you know, if I were to bring this into mythology, it'd be like Kali. Like, there's just like a lot for you. There's just been a lot going on in your life these past few years. It's just been like one thing after another at times, and felt very, very intense. And it's like, okay. Like, I hear that, like, okay, what's coming next? Like, that kind of feel to things at times. And they just show me, it's like, you know, they show me like a washing machine. You got a good sense of humor. A washing machine. It's like you're like you're like a cat in the washing machine. Like, okay, when's this cycle gonna be over? You know, like, when am I gonna get out? And then they show me this image of like a wet cat after the washing machine, and it's just like, like if cats could smoke a cigarette, that's what it would do, right? Like, it's just that it's almost this time for rest. For you as well, but there's just been these very, very intense waves for you coming in too when it comes to that. And what they show me are your arms outstretched really, really long, and just this sense of like, I'm not my past. There's a lot with you around like really breaking. I'm going to use the term so tough, spirit so different than our wording. Breaking free of the past. Is this making sense? I want to make sure.
Yes.
It's making sense.
Very
Okay.
much.
Perfect. So, you know, and it's like there's like a fence up even of like this, like, okay, I'm building this fence. I'm building this area so that I can have this boundary connected between like who I am right now and not necessarily who you were in the past, but like who people thought you were in the past, right? You're very much someone who gets like projected upon. People think they know you and they respond accordingly, and then you're like, that person just like literally didn't respond to me the way I thought that I was portraying myself, that kind of thing. And it feels a lot like it's like for you, it's like letting go of that past piece of things where people, you know, we're like, well, Amy, you're like this, and this. That's like not great for your spirit. It's not great for anyone's spirit, really, right? But it's like when someone is like, Amy, you're this and this. I know you so well, you're this and this. Like, that's really tough for you because you were really here to kind of be that transfer. You know, like a snake sheds its skin, like spiritual people talk about this all the time, right? It's like they shed their skin. If you ever watch a video that they have to shake really hard, it's kind of cool to look at. But, you know, as humans, we do this too. It's like you really are here to kind of transform. You're getting this. It's a lot of Scorpio energy vibes. That's what they're showing me. It's like that snake sheds and you're brand new, right? And so there's a lot for you around shedding your skin in this life. And releasing. So you signed up for a big thing. That's how I'm going to put that in this life. And so, you know, the joke I always make, and I say this about myself, is like, well, I'm not here to be casual. You know, like everyday humdrum stuff kind of is like, you've been kind of chunking, you know, taking chunks of a lot of this trauma and a lot of these things out these past few years, and that's been a lot of work. So I always like to acknowledge that, right? Because if we ran into the grocery store, I may not be like, Amy, you're nervous. It's some good work you're doing, you know? Like, but here, I always like to say that in readings, you know, but here's where we acknowledge this work that you've done. You know, and then I see you've got this really beautiful creative side to you as well. Do you relate to like drawing, art, things like this? What is this?
Yes.
Beautiful. So I see this fence that you've, quote, built. So, you know, this is in the ethers, the energy. And now you're like painting the fence. It's like you've made really a lot of beauty out of these, quote, I'm going to call them boundaries, but I don't love that word there. But you've made like art out of this. And I see you painting the fence and it's like beautiful, bright colors. It's so cool. It's like imagery that, you know, I'm really drawn to it. You know, if it was like street art, I'd walk by and I'd stop and look at it rather than just kind of, you know, driving or walking by. Like, I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. Like, it pulls me in and I'm really, really intrigued. And this is like the perspective people have when they look at your art. Do people look at your art as well, or is this like something that's just for you? That's how I'm going to ask that.
One. People look at mine.
Okay, sweet. Because if they didn't, I'd be like, have you ever thought about people looking at your art? Because I'm drawn in. That's what I feel. It's like I'm being pulled to a gallery and there's like 10 different paintings, but I'm drawn to yours and I sit and I look at it. There's layers. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And depth. And it evokes sounds so cheesy, but it evokes very specific feelings in me. Like I can feel what it feels like to witness your art, and it's really, really beautiful. There's a lot of depth there. I really, really love that. That's so cool. Oh, I love that imagery. And again, and I see a lot of bright colors, like a lot of bright colors. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sweet. I want to be specific here. They're going to the masculine, to your dad's side when it comes to painting this side of things. As well. So there's something around here like really creating that, where your mom's side, it's really kind of interesting. It's a different style of art. It's almost like a metal fence with vines, things like that. It's really interesting. Were your parents very, very different? Or are they? Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to assume anything. Yeah. So it's like there's ways you've transmuted energy from them, but it's different. And this is a lot of that creative piece to you as well.
Is there any music?
In this image? Sorry.
I was giving you information right there. My mom's side is very different from my dad's side.
Yes.
She's musical.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Well, it's interesting because the fence is like more transparent. It's like I can see through that fence, whereas your dad's side is like a wooden fence that I can't see through. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then they wanted me to go to my heart space, because the heart space is like, it's so cheesy, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, you really are here to like live through your heart. And I love this too, because how do I describe this? This is an energy in you that you've really cultivated. I'm going to say it like this privately. It's like you're very discerning with who you share your heart with, even when it comes to friends. Does that make sense?
Very.
And so when that piece of you opens up, it's like people are like, oh, I'm going to say this term, like, oh, I've met the real Amy.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to laugh there. It's just like I see a friend being like, oh. It's so good, because it's like, it's like Thoreau, right? We contain multitudes, one of my favorite poems, like that piece of things. Like, you understand that. Like, you feel and understand those layers. I love it. And so just know that warmth of that heart. It's like, in this reading, at the very beginning, I felt it, and then it's coming and going in waves, right? Because there is this sense of like, you're very discerning with who you share it with, and that's beautiful. Spirit doesn't judge and say like, open up more, blah, 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 blah. No. This is like very connected to your energy, right? It's like that energy, that piece of things is really beautiful as well. Okay, and then has your dad passed?
No.
Okay. What's his name?
Richard.
Do you want to connect with him? Or I can connect with them even if they're living.
Sure.
Okay, because he like paces behind the fence. His nervous system kind of paces, almost like a dog. I'm not calling your dad a dog, but like
right.
Like a dog will pace.
He
On
gets
watch.
he paces in front of a television.
Of course he does. I mean, just like I'm getting hot, like nervous system wise, fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just back and forth, and I'm just like, Richard, sit down, and he's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, any advice I give him, no.
Mm-hmm.
When really it's like genuine advice, like, and you can feel my energy shift, right? I'm sitting back, I'm like, ooh, and for you as a little kid, this nervous system, did he come and go? What is this? It's like I can feel him and then he's gone. This is sometimes like travel for work. What is this? Come and
A little
go.
bit.
Okay. Because it's like he engages and then he completely disengages.
Yep.
And I'm like, which Richard, like I can't get a consistency from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, I'm on watch. And I'm like, what are you on watch for? And he's like, anything. And I'm like, Richard, what? Like anything? Like if you're going to watch for anything, that's exhausting. I'm kind of tired being around. And no judgment to him. Like this is like a bit of his nervous system. It reminds me a little bit of like combat vets, like this, like boop, 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 that kind of feel to him as well. Okay, who's the spirit you want to connect with? Let's go there.
Seth.
Okay, sweet. And they are coming in over here. Does that make sense? Meaning, was this someone in your life? Obviously, that's a terrible way to ask that. Like, are they not related to you?
No, he's related.
Okay. Because he comes over here and like sits with me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And like pulls up a chair. And you know, the name Seth, I can probably assume that is a male, right? So that's like on the masculine side. Comes and sits and like puts his elbows on the table. And he's like, Amy, what do you want? That's what he says. Is this a brother then? I can't tell his relationship to you, to be totally frank.
You want me to tell you?
Sure.
It's my son.
Oh! Okay, perfect. Because he has like this jovial, he does have kind of a trickster energy to him. Can I say that? Or mischievous is a better word.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he puts his elbow on the table and he goes like this, and he's just kind of like, what do you want, Amy? And he calls you Amy. That's why I was like, what is he? Who is this? I was going to ask a cousin next because I'm like, what? You know, and I get really, really hot around his passing because I feel very much like, if I may, anger around his passing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of anger. And he just, sorry, I'm going to laugh a lot with him. It's going to be bad. And he's just like, waves you off. He's like, let her be pissed. That's what he says. I hope that's okay. Because he's very much like, it is what it is. It was what it was. That kind of feel. Oh, my throat and my neck. Oh my gosh. Like just, I feel, is there a lot unsaid between you two before he passed even?
No.
Or a lot said?
No.
Okay. My throat and my jaw, like I feel this intensity there. So is there something where you feel like you can't talk to him anymore? Because I feel like because he pulled up a chair that you do connect with his spirit.
Yes, I do.
Sweet. And is it via talking? Like just talking to him out loud? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm trying to answer it without giving you too much information.
Yep. Yeah, and I forgot actually to say that. You can share whatever you want. Yeah, I'll just keep going, and then we can, because my throat is just getting, you know, that was the coughing at the beginning, and that happens in readings a lot. Like I just am.
He was a chef.
Of course he was. Was he a smoker?
A little bit.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I can feel like a raspiness in my throat. Okay. Oh, that chef energy too is so good. Just because they're just like, you know, and the mischievous part too. Okay. Because he just shows me, you know, it's so funny when I drove up, I'm going to sound cheesy, but I'm going to say it anyway. And you see the gravel lot. There was a mourning dove lying in the middle of the gravel lot. And I'm like, what? And I go, oh, we're going to do straight up mediumship today, which I just like love. So, I mean, I love all readings, but, you know, connecting specifically to the spirit is really, really great. So, and like Seth, as I'm talking, kind of rolls his eyes. I don't get the sense he was like into this shit. Can I say it like that?
Right.
So he's like, typically, this is something spirit will say. He's like, can you believe it? Like, can you believe it that I'm here and that we're, you know, like we're doing this, you know, that kind of feel to things. He's making my ears burn. Does he ever make your ears burn?
Yeah.
Okay. That's when he's trying to communicate with you more. It's a very specific burn. You know how, like, of course, humans say, like, my ears are burning, someone's talking about you. It's similar to that, but it's, like, up here. It's, like, a sore, almost burn. And so he's saying, like, that's when he wants to help kind of guide you a bit. And he shows me him as a boy when he was a baby and growing up, and you were just like, oh, I got a wild one on my hands. You know, like I feel like, you know how, and I'm not a mom, so, but you know, I've obviously know what kids are, duh. But Seth is just like, you are so diplomatic, like just talk. Like he's like coaching me as like, there this. I love spirits like this. You know when people have like a 1.5-year-old in their hand and they're like moving around and it's like, hold on, like you're, you know, you're trying to hold them back. That's the image he's showing me. And, you know, and you let him down and he just runs. you know, and you're like, oh, gosh, there he goes, you know. That kind of sense to things. You know, he's a bit of a headache, just to be honest. He's making me say that. He's like, tell her I was a bit of a headache. I was, you know. That kind of feel to things too. So, and then he's showing me a sequence of events that caused his death. Can I say that? Is that okay to say? He's like quick. I don't know if he talked quick or something. He, you know, he switches subjects quickly. So you'll see I'll be in his energy, and he switches subjects quickly. So, you know, he's like, stop being like, the Spirit says this a lot. I always like to name a theme. Like, stop saying if B and C had happened, then D wouldn't happen. Like, stop saying that. Like, it just, these sequence of events came together and they happened. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Is that okay to say?
Okay.
Okay. And the anger too, it's not necessarily like anger towards him, but I feel anger towards situations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, well, yeah, I mean, it's your son. You didn't want him to pass, you know? Like, I feel like he had a lot going on in his life, and then it's like he got the trains on the track and then passed. He's reminding me a whole lot. I just have to name of my husband's brother who's passed. Very similar. You know, like train on the tracks and then passing. And it's like he was just getting things sorted. He keeps showing me, and I know you disclosed he's a chef, so I love this. Like, I'd be like, what is this? Like a fork, a knife. You know how people set up plates? You know, like he keeps showing me like setting up all his stuff. Like you know how they have the chefs have the, oh gosh, he's like, you're botching this. Have the like ware that they'll have, and they like put their knives out, you know? It's like that. And he's like kind of showing me these different pieces that he's like organizing. And so I feel like he was really getting things together and then passed.
Yep.
Okay, and then did he have a girlfriend or someone he was like dating or close to? This may even be an ex, to be
I'm
honest.
gonna slow down.
Oh, sorry.
There's always a girl, but
Right. Was there one he was dating at that exact time though, when he passed?
day before, just met her.
Oh wow. Okay, because
He met her 3 weeks earlier.
Okay, she's still, I just feel a lot of grief from her around what happened, all of it. Can I get her name? Do you know her first name?
Chloe.
Okay, because it rocked her world.
Yep.
She's like, his death changed me. She says that statement out loud. And I feel him around her a lot. Even though it was 3 weeks, I feel him around her a lot. Like, you know, trying to comfort her a bit. She's quite sensitive. So his passing was like, whoa. Very, so he wanted to talk about her. Because he's joking around. He's like, you know, she's giving me the floor.
All right, I'm going to give you another name too. Can I give you another name?
Sweet, of course.
Sky.
Okay. And this is a female, correct?
Okay,
thank you. And is this connected to Seth, though? Okay. And she kind of buzzes around him. Does that make sense? Okay. She comes across kind of fairy-like even.
Yeah.
Like, is this a friend of his or something?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Because they like fist I'm just like, not really, because they're cooler than fist bumps in a lot of ways. But, you know, it was like, hi, I know you. Like, she kind of actually punched him on the arm. You know, like, hey, how's it going? Okay, and then just, do you know Sky's mom? What is this?
You're amazing.
Okay,
Yes.
Perfect. What's her mom's name, may I ask? Just a name.
Sunny.
Okay, because I feel you and, like, she says, talk about my mom and talk about how Amy and Sunny are friends, correct? Okay. Because, does this make sense? Okay, because Sunny is, it's like you two have been able to go through the grief process together. Does that make sense?
A little bit.
Okay. I don't see Sky and Seth dying together, though, correct?
No.
Okay. But they do show me, like, in a car together because I feel like they were just buds. That kind of feel to things. And Sky, I'm going to ask a question if this is okay here. Does Sunny believe in this type of stuff?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. I'm glad you're reporting. Because Sky is saying to Sunny, like, she had a lot to say to her mom. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm trying to communicate it from the other side, especially around her passing too, because
she hadn't passed.
Oh, Sky's living?
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. I'm like, what is this? But why would you and Sunny go through a grief process together?
She loved Seth.
Oh, that's about
That's
Seth.
how
Okay,
Sky met
thank you.
Seth, was through her mom.
Oh, thank you. Okay, because she's like out here sitting with Seth. So Sky talks to Seth a lot.
Good.
Like a lot. That's what she's saying. Okay, thank you. I can sometimes not tell, especially because Seth came out here and broke my rules, which I love. I love a rule breaker. I'm all about it. But okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Because he came out on the feminine side?
No, he's on the masculine.
Okay.
But Sky is standing right next to him.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So this is what she's trying to say. She's trying to communicate with him more and more and more. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
This is why that I was like, they didn't pass together, because this guy's
Mhm.
probably like, I am not past Alex. Oops. So it's so funny. Sometimes clients will be like, oh, are they gonna pass? I'm like, no. None
She's
of that.
good.
Yeah. But yeah, and she's very connected to spirit. Sky is
Mm-hmm.
just like very like flutters around. I love it. Yeah, because she's like describing Sky. I'm gonna try to be more specific here too. It was describing to me going to Seth's headstone. Is there a headstone?
Funeral.
Okay, and so there is a stone,
No.
but is it in the ground?
Nope.
Did you? So what is this? You are moving it. What is this? You don't want one? What? Why is she?
He's in my house.
Oh, okay. So you didn't want like a place to go. This is what Sky is talking about. Does that make
Sky's
sense?
worried about that?
No, she is more so saying, she's like, I can connect with him anywhere. He doesn't need a place in the ground. That's what she's saying.
Okay.
So was that a question that you had because of where to put him?
No, I don't
Okay.
have a question. I mean, it's maybe undecided, but we're satisfied with what's happening now.
Sorry, I'm sorry to laugh there. This is the inappropriate laughter, but this is Seth. He's like, I love it. I love spirits that have good sense of humor. He's like, Mom, you can throw it in the trash. I don't care where that goes. Like,
That is totally
yeah,
sad.
he's just like,
That's why he's in my dining room.
yeah, he's like, okay,
He's
do what you
at the
want with
table.
it. Yeah, he's like, do what you want with it. That's
Yeah.
how he puts it. That kind of thing. Because Sky was talking about, like, I was like, did the headstone get moved? That's why I was trying to ask those questions, because she's like, there's nowhere for me to go.
It bothers her that he's.
Yeah, she's like, well, there's nowhere for me to go. And I'm like,
Right.
well, but he's everywhere. So you don't,
Mhm.
you don't need a specific place
Here's
to
what's
go.
going. She moved away from where he died.
Ah, okay. Yep, that would be a piece of this too. Okay, and so this makes sense too, to like that anger piece that came up as well, because Sky is also annoyed at his passing.
Yeah.
Like, if I may just say, the fuck.
Yeah.
Wants it.
Yes.
Like, what the
Yes.
fuck?
Yes. Yes.
So that, frustrates her, because she's like, he had all this life to live, that kind of feel to things as
Yeah.
well. And I do feel, and I don't mean this, like, she's so sensitive. It's tough. I don't, if it's not a reading for her, but, I feel like Seth does try to communicate with her more, and she sometimes does, like, la, 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 la.
I don't know. I'll ask her.
Yeah, so she could talk to him more.
La
He
la la
kinda
la la.
bugs
She's had a baby.
Oh, so she's busy.
Yes.
But he does kind of bug her.
Oh yeah.
He's like what I would categorize as a mischievous spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, Seth, I hear that.
Yeah.
That kind of feels to things as well. Okay, so then is Sunny with Sky right now or something like that, helping out?
Possibly. I don't know.
Okay, because I see them all together.
Oh, that might be true.
Ooh, this baby. She's got a sensitive one on her hands, that's for sure. I don't know if it's having trouble eating or what this is, but I'm not a mom, but I feel like all new moms.
She's
there's
2.
like, yeah, ooh, yes. So there's food sensitivities or something like this
Oh.
with this baby. Does that make sense?
I'll
Well,
find out.
2.
Her
is
dad's a
not
chef.
Baby. There we go. That's what it is. They're like, talk about her eating.
They got
Like,
together
what?
in the car when they found out Seth died.
Oh, this is the car.
Seth and her dad.
Okay.
They were all friends.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean,
what's
Sky-
the dad's?
Sky's
What's Sky's partner's name?
I can't remember.
Okay, sweet. No worries. But so there's something about like food and this baby.
Okay.
This is what Seth is talking about. So, okay, sweet. I feel like it's been, and I say this again, not being a mom, but like a rocky. I would say she's not the easiest of babies. Is she?
Her baby?
2-year-old, yeah. I would say she's not the easiest of babies.
There's no baby that's easy.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, I don't even want to say that's, but like, I feel a lot of smooth sailing ahead. Like, they're getting into a better rhythm. There's something here with like the throat or something like that too. So I do feel like maybe that she needs certain foods, or there was a food allergy. There's something here. It's still there. They're still talking about it. So, perfect. So just know, like, it sounds so funny to even tell someone with a 2-year-old that things are getting easier, but they do feel that they're going to smooth out a little bit. It's like they're getting into a rhythm.
Mm-hmm. They've been.
And Sky goes, thank God.
Yeah.
Because
they've moved to out of state and they've been there a year now, so that's probably part of the rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, but Sky's so great. She's like, I don't want to like reveal secrets in this. Like, I'm not quite sure. Like, they were like, let's plan and have a kid. I think it was more like, we're gonna have a kid now.
Well, they got pregnant right after Seth. I mean,
yeah. Right after Seth passed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it. Seth just like shows me as a spirit, because he put his, I don't want to get near my candle. He went like this, when he first came in. And so he shows me like on the ground with this baby, like making eye contact, like, hi, just
Scott's
like,
gonna love that.
yeah, kind of like messing with her a little bit, like,
He loved
what are
babies.
you doing? That kind of thing. And he's like lying on the ground, like, how little kids do with their feet up and like waving his feet side to side. He showed me that image. Hi, and this baby has bright eyes, like, bloop. And she's just like, waddle, 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 looking at him. She randomly laughs. That's Seth. And I know that sounds ridiculous because I know babies randomly laugh all the time, but this is like a specific random laugh. Like, what is she laughing at? I hear that. It's Seth. He loves that baby. He's like, if I may, I hope this is okay to make this joke. He kind of likes being a spirit around babies more than like, he's like, you don't have to hold them. You don't have to take care of them. You just like goof off with them. He
That
likes
is so
that part of things as well. What other, or this still making sense?
Oh,
I wanna make
100%.
sure. Okay.
You got him pegged. Hey, Seth.
So great. And I can feel now that he's joked around and kind of settled in, I can start to feel some grief coming up. Like, I can feel like my eyes watering up, my heart, like, he is starting to like now say things like, I'm sorry, Mom. Like, I didn't mean to leave you. He says that. I want to be clear that language. Like, it's not like he's like, I didn't mean to leave you. Like, but he's like, I didn't mean to leave you.
I know.
What other questions do you have for Seth or in general?
Can I throw out 2 other names?
Of course.
They're living.
Thank you.
Cassidy and Fahad.
Okay, perfect. Okay, they're coming in over here. Cassidy is. Oh wow, she is like an energy. Does she talk a lot?
I don't know her.
What is this? You don't know who Cassidy is?
I mean, she was there when he died.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Oh, okay. Because she's just talking.
Bullshit.
Talking. I'm like, Cassidy, shh. Like lots of energy, high energy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I even feel like maybe a little partier. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like,
What are we doing?
Yeah. And it's funny she came over here because it's like she's across the table from Seth, right? Like, she's like part of the scene, but not. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, with Farhad is correct. Did I say that correctly? Fahad, thank you. With Fahad, it's a little more laid back, a little more chill. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
He shows me like he grabs his heart or even grabs like a necklace around his heart, like he shows me feeling a lot of guilt around Seth's passing. Does that make sense?
I sure hope so.
A lot. Is he partly the cause? I have to ask that question. Okay.
Yes.
Because he's like, I feel like I'm the one who did it. That's how he puts it, which is a very odd statement to make.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, Seth doesn't love talking about this part of things. That's how he puts it.
Yep.
Okay. Too bad. Sorry, I had to give him some shit. He gave me shit earlier. It's interesting with Fahad. Like, it's like he has guilt, and then it's like he can't even process it as well. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's like he knows things that he did caused it, and then he's like, but then I can't even look at it. Whereas, like, and no judgment, but like Cassidy doesn't want to take responsibility for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just puts her hands up, like,
Mm-hmm.
nope, I don't want, does she have addiction issues? I just have to ask this
I
question.
don't know. Well,
okay,
probably.
it's just all over the place. She reminds me of that, all over the place. Or just kind of manicky.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, I'm not going to go there, And Seth's like, she doesn't need to go there. He more connects to like talking to Fahad a little bit about it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I hear him say, what have I done? Does that make sense?
Who says it?
Fahad, sorry.
Yeah.
I just have to say what Seth's saying. He's like, we're doing it. We're doing the if it B and C it happened, then D wouldn't have happened. We're doing it. And I'm like, well, we're talking about it. And he's like, I know, but he gets frustrated with what happened. That's how I'm going to describe it. Does that make sense? But not angry. So I get the sense it's like the anger isn't there around it. So is it more of an accident? Can I ask that question?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay. Because it's like, this is the analogy that Seth gives me. It's like there's a bunch of floorboards in an attic, and he like steps on the floorboard that like breaks and he falls through. Whereas everybody
really
else
close.
stayed up on the floorboards. Does that make sense? It's like everybody else stayed up, even though a lot of the floorboards were rotting. He's the one who fell through. That's how he puts it. Does that make sense? And you don't have to disclose anything to me. I just want to say that.
Stay up on the roof.
Well, it's interesting that he showed me an attic with like a rotted piece, because it's like he takes a step, falls through, and everybody else stands there. Like, did he just fall through? That's what I hear. Does that make sense?
Do you see any windows?
So I'm going with the analogy still, so I just want to say that because they're going to continue to give me an analogy. In the analogy, there's 2 huge windows, like an attic.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like a traumatizing event. Can I say that too?
Very.
Okay. Sorry to laugh right after that. It's just Seth. He's like, this is the joke he's basically making. He's like, Alex, it's like a made-for-lifetime TV movie.
It already is.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to laugh there again, because he's just like making that joke. It literally is. Seth, I'm sorry. That is like.
Do you want to know the title?
Specifics. Well, you can tell me at the end.
Okay.
You tell me at the end. I cannot believe he's making that, but he made it like a joke.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, made for Lifetime TV.
I know. So
that's how he did it. He leaned towards me like this, and I was like, oh, all right.
I sure hope this is still recording. Yes.
Okay. Just so. Well, the analogies get specific. So for him, it's like this makes sense to my weekend. It's so funny. My life is just like so weird. I'm a double Pisces, so I get the energy just kind of happens. It's like funny. This weekend I like watched a few funny type stuff like this, like mysterious deaths, things like this. So it's like, oh, Seth was probably like, I'm gonna come hang out with you without being like, hey, I'm Seth. That's how it kind of works. So, again, there was like a ripple effect with his passing. And I do feel no one wanted to take responsibility, though. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Do you want to know that it still rules suicide?
I do not get suicide from this. I
Exactly.
do not get a choice
100%.
on his part to no.
Okay.
100% correct. Yeah.
Coroner
And
says
I
it's
actually-
suicide by defenestration.
I don't even know what that means.
Nobody does.
Okay. What does that mean? Defenestration?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Do you
what that
speak any French?
I don't. I did have 5.5 years of Latin.
Fenestra is a window.
Jumping out a window?
Mhm.
No. And this makes sense to why he's showing me falling through the floorboard, because I do get more of an accidental feel, but I do not get suicide.
Of course.
And I'm going to say this. Sorry. There's a little emotion there. Sorry. I try to. I say, I would never do that to you. That's what Seth says to you. I would never do that to
I
you.
know that.
Okay, this would make sense to some guilt around this as well. And no one wanting to take responsibility. Sorry. Sometimes I'm not clear. From Fahad.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps saying, I feel like it was my fault. But it's like he doesn't want to fully take responsibility for it.
Ask Fahad if this is organized.
Okay, so when you ask that, he says this is bigger than him. So I have that statement. And then he shows me people that made sure he immediately wouldn't say anything. So I don't know, did he lawyer up even? Or did he have like connections to people who, how would I describe this, would threaten him if he said anything? That's how I would do that. So bizarre. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I couldn't say anything. But his higher self is talking to us today. That's for sure. He carries this around with him.
He should.
He tells me, he's like, I can never speak about this.
He pled the fifth.
Come clean. Okay. Yep. That makes sense.
In a civil suit.
Yeah.
Can I throw another name out? Are you ready
Of course.
for that?
Yep.
Jesse.
Oh, my stomach turned.
Yep.
Living, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So, when I connect with people like this, he won't really go anywhere. He doesn't really want to be in the room, but he makes me nauseous. So whenever I connect with someone who's nauseous, they're very disconnected from their soul essence. That's my indication. My guides come in and kind of they're going to protect both of us when we connect to this person. Can I say that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I do not get good intentions from this human
Mm-hmm.
at all. And I am continuing to be nauseous, which is super interesting because typically that nausea is there and then goes, because I feel people around him that are also quite disconnected from their souls.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
No responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
This human wants to take no responsibility for a fair amount of harm that they've caused.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the saying, like every, perpetrator has a victim story.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, he's like, this is what he's saying to me. Jesse's saying, he's going, well, you're trauma informed. Look at my past. Look at my past. Look at my past. I'm like, that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean you can continue to harm people. And he's like, yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely steer clear of this person.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In fact, are they out and about in the world, or are they?
As far as I know, they all are.
Has Jesse been incarcerated before? That's my next question then.
Don't know.
Okay, because I feel that they may be, sorry, police, building a case, something like this.
Okay.
I feel things are going to catch up to him. I don't think he'll be walking and doing stuff around. Like, I feel things are going to catch up to him. That's how I'm going to put that. He throws people under the bus, so a lot of people around him have been thrown under the bus by him. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so Seth calls him an asshole.
Yeah.
Seth does not like him.
No. Well, Seth didn't know him until 2 hours before he died.
Yeah. And he, like Seth says, he's like, my stomach churned when he showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this, like, Fahad had like some guilt. Jesse's like, he woke up the next day, ate his Cheerios or whatever the fuck he eats, like, sorry to be, his energy, and was just like moved on. Like, some sociopathic feeling to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just like, well, people die.
You want to ask about his mother?
Do you know his mom's name, Jesse's mom?
Margie.
Oh, I mean, apple and tree. I don't get great energy from her either. Does that make sense?
Well, she's died.
I feel, so she shows me when he was young, when Jesse was young, she's extremely overwhelmed. Like, can't function in a lot of ways. Survival mode to a T. And like, she's like, this is what messed him up. That's how she puts it. You said Marjorie?
I think it's Margie.
Margie. This is what messed him up. That's how she puts it. She's like, I've just put him in this survival mode, and now that's what he's doing. He's wreaking havoc. That kind of feel to things.
9th Ward, Katrina area.
Oh my God.
New Orleans.
So funny. Oh my gosh. What was this? What, 2 days ago? Yesterday? What day is it?
Monday.
Okay.
Yesterday was the 17th anniversary of Katrina.
Katrina. Okay. I knew it was recent. Like, I know the date is around this week, so, and we rescheduled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That would be spirit. So, this would make sense to this image she's giving me too, which is like just stuff everywhere. You know how when people are overwhelmed, so then they're just like, there's stuff everywhere. And again, spirit doesn't judge. I'm not trying to be like, you know, judgmental of her, but there's just stuff everywhere, like messy. You know, and she's like, basically like, I fucked him up. That's how she puts it. So she takes a little bit of responsibility for that as well. I feel a lot of energy around her passing, like a lot. Did she pass during Katrina?
I don't know when she passed. I know how she. Well,
I've-
her death is also unsolved.
Yeah, it's weird. She goes, because the reason I asked this is she goes, I got swept away. It's like she just kind of just got, I don't know how to describe this passing at all.
Well, she did not get swept away.
This is how she describes it. She goes, I just was there and then gone.
Okay.
Like, pulled is how she describes it to me. And you mentioned this, that there's mystery around her death, correct? You said that? Yeah, because I feel confusion. Like, from her. I think for a lot, she was like, am I dead? I hope that's okay to say it like that. Am I dead? Like, that's how she asked it when she passed.
She was stabbed.
And then was she not found for a little while? What is this?
She was found in her home.
But like a little while later? Okay, because the image she gives me is like a bunch of stuff everywhere. She's like, she felt like she just like blended in. That's such a weird thing to say. She is very confused by her passing still. Like, the perpetrator, all of it, why it happened.
I think her son did it.
I would agree. I'm just going to be real with you. Yes. Because, like, I see a confusion. Why is this happening? She keeps saying stuff like that to me. And she was saying things like, I'm the one who fucked him up. It's like I created the monster. You know? That's a lot of what she's saying. It's like she doesn't want to say it. Seth is like going like this.
Mm-hmm. He's like my mom.
Okay, and then Seth wants you to know, because he's like wants to be very clear, and I know you know this, but he wants to be very clear. He's like, I didn't know he was going to be there. I don't need, this character is not a part of my life. This was not a part of my regular life.
I know.
Yeah, just very clear. He's like, wrong place, wrong time.
Lured into a situation. I talked to him 6 hours before this happened.
And this may be some of the, like, the past is going to catch up to Jesse. Like, it's going to catch up. I mean, it's interesting in this reading, and I know he's living, but when he's like is the type of, he's like starting to kind of get in my face a bit. Like, what do you mean it's going to catch up? And I'm like, I'm like, over there, back off. Like, you can't intimidate me in a reading. That's not how this works. Like, it's just not how it works, dude. You know, but he's like doing his thing.
He's the host of the Airbnb.
Sorry,
Jesse is.
Oh, he has an Airbnb.
Like,
he doesn't even seem like he exists on that kind of level at all.
well, he doesn't. It's
Meaning,
because he's a player in a bigger machine.
Yes, agreed. That's what they really showed with Fahad, correct? Am I saying that?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I want to make sure. That's what Fahad was actually wanting to. You know, he feels caught up. I will say that in this machine, Jesse feels like he wants to be like actively a player in it.
All right, this is really fun. Can I give you another name?
Sure. So I just want to say, so Fahad showed me all these layers.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of layers.
Bigger players.
Mark Meadows.
They definitely. I mean, like Mark Meadows. Like was he a congressman from here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm like, I always like to say like what I know around this as well. Okay, but he is currently not in office, correct? Golly, I should know this, but I don't.
Yes, you should. No, he's not.
Okay. Okay, so this is the example they're giving me. Now, I will say this. Mark Meadows does have psychic protection around him, so he's harder to dial into, which is very, very fascinating to me when someone like that has psychic protection, because it's like, I mean, I've dialed into a lot of people, but he has some psychic protection up, so I think he's a little more esoteric than he lets on, which is super weird. What? Or has no soul. Yeah. And so what he shows me, you know how like moles under the ground move? He shows me all these underground networks that he's a part of. Like, I don't want to say dark web necessarily, but it's like underground networks, this kind of thing. He does a lot of like backdoor deals when it comes to money as well. Does that make sense? And so he shows me, he's like, oh, this is interesting. When certain people like him become politicians, it's like a marker for the bigger game.
Yeah.
And so that marker then makes him visible for the bigger game, for him to then go back underneath and start working with this like corruption in the background. Does that make sense? This is why Ben was coming through. So my husband's dad grew up in Conway County, Arkansas, which is like the most corrupt county, it's actually the Clintons, but like it's like very corrupt county politician wise. So that's why Ben was hanging out. He's like, I don't watch this one.
Okay.
Ben and Seth would be friends for sure. They're spirit friends. Because Ben is kind of got that like similar vibration to Seth. So what they show me too is this sense of like, for Mark Meadows, like when he became the marker with a politician and went back under, it's like he was then connected to more. It's almost like a game. I grew up outside DC, so it makes complete sense. I get a big headache with him. Big headache with Mark Meadows. Like huge headache, you know. Definitely money laundering as well. I love that you're recording this now.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. It's not going to go anywhere.
It's all good.
There's a lot of money laundering going on.
A lot. And he's kind of like caught in it too.
Yeah.
It's like once you're in a certain part of the game, you cannot come back out.
Yeah. Jesse's money laundering too.
I would agree.
Fahad is too.
Yeah. What I forgot his name. There's a corrupt sheriff.
From Hendersonville?
I feel like it was Buncombe County. He just died of COVID. Bobby, I can't think of his name, but Mark Meadows is basically making a Venn diagram for me now,
Yeah.
like all the people
Yeah.
that are connected and corrupt.
You want me to put another one in
You know,
there?
and then he shows me this underground network too.
Mm-hmm.
Very as above, so below. Politicians are always very esoteric. I know people don't want to talk about that, but they are.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Charles McDonald.
Okay, I actually don't know this name, so I want to admit that. Sorry if I should. I feel higher up from him. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I also feel big facade. Like big, nice house, wife, big facade, but like major networking and like the underground piece of things is how I'll put it. Does that make sense?
I don't know about the big white house, but yeah.
Or just like big, like an image.
Mm-hmm.
He has an image of someone who is a good citizen.
Mm-hmm.
I would say he is not.
Yeah.
Is he like a judge or something, or what is this?
Former sheriff.
Oh, it's like Bobby something. This is why
Yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna
like,
have to
why
think
are
about
we going through the sheriff? Yeah. Okay. This is why this makes sense. But just the facade. Like this is the life that I live outside, and he goes, this is the life that I live behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he puts it.
Mm-hmm. In God we trust.
A lot of corruption there. Say his name again.
Charles McDonald.
Okay. Oh, that's weird. I have a friend whose husband passed who I feel like, was this in Henderson County? Can I ask that?
No.
Okay. Making
But-
sure.
Oh,
They're all connected.
it was organized here.
Yeah.
You want to know where it happened?
Oh, sure.
New Orleans.
Oh, okay. God, I have tons of New Orleans clients too. It's interesting. I also just hang out with these friends, so I'll talk about that with my eyes open. Yeah. Big facade, and then it's like this glass door closes and something else comes up, you know, which makes sense to like a two-way mirror, right? Like it's a literal analogy for that kind of corruption. But it's so funny. He comes across as a judge, so I have a feeling he had like a lot of connections to judges, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, you're not the judge of this, and he's like, no, I am.
Mm-hmm.
Arrogance for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what Seth says to me to say to you. He's like, I'm sorry that I had that my passing dragged you into all of these people.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he puts it.
I know.
Okay.
Well, tell Seth
And-
that I'm sorry that our politics dragged him into it.
How do I describe this? Do you have questions whether his death there will be justice? That's how I'm going to ask this question.
That is one question.
Okay, because Spirit is all super weird sometimes about justice, because it's like it's all meant to be, and Seth says to me, it's gonna catch up to them all, not just Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
But this is how he describes it. Seth, he's smarty pants too.
Yes, yes, he is.
He's like, Mom, you can't watch a pot. Just like leave it, let it simmer and boil,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back and it'll be boiling.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, you can check in with it, but don't sit and wait for it.
Mm-hmm. Today's the fourth anniversary of the last time I saw Seth.
Mm.
Well, tomorrow actually, but today was a big day. We had a big day together.
Sorry, he's just funny. He's like, I don't know if you were cooking together or something like this. He's showing me like giving you a little elbow and like doing a little dance.
Mm-hmm.
Mom.
We went to a Saints football game.
Oh, I love
And
it.
they had all the
Just like a lot of celebration, I
yeah.
feel like a
Mhm.
lot of just like do, 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 do. You know, he's
Mhm.
like, I can't do it, but he's doing this little dance.
Sky was with us.
Yeah.
His other friend Lloyd.
Sorry to laugh there again, because Seth goes Lloyd.
Yep.
I feel like Seth kind of like haunts Lloyd a little bit. Sorry to
sure.
laugh there,
For
but
sure.
like messes with him for sure. Because I don't think does Lloyd live in New Orleans? Anyone who lives in New
Lloyd-
Orleans who doesn't believe in ghosts, I think is the weirdest.
Oh yeah, Lloyd lives
I'm like,
in
how
Lawrence.
do you not believe in ghosts?
Mhm.
But like Seth just like thinks it's funny. He's like
Mhm.
Lloyd,
Yep.
Lloyd. He goes like that. Lloyd's like, what's that? No. You know, like I don't think Lloyd is into this stuff, but like he knows.
Yeah.
He knows. It was so funny. Someone contacted me recently about doing like a home clearing, and I don't do them in there in New Orleans because I have a few clients in New Orleans, and actually I had my friend contact them because I was like, I don't do home clearings, so I grew up in a haunted house myself. It's just too much. And my one friend, I like referred to them. They were like that who's lived in New Orleans. He was like, leave New Orleans. Like he's like, how are you gonna? There's a lot of energy there. My husband loves New Orleans and has talked about living there, and I'm like, no way, I can't.
Seth
do
was
that.
born there.
Ah, perfect. Yeah. So, I mean, he loved it.
Yep.
Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he passed in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He and Lloyd were supposed to be working together 3 weeks from the time he passed.
Yeah, Lloyd is pretty pissed off at everything that's gone down.
Definitely.
He's
I'm
like,
worried
Lloyd goes,
that
I can't do anything about it. Though.
I know.
I can't
I'm worried that
retaliate. I
Jesse
can't do
is
anything
trying to
about
get Lloyd involved.
I mean, Jesse would get in. You know, he wants everybody involved in his schemes. Is the word I'd use.
Mm-hmm. But
Gonna
Jesse's
catch up.
yeah.
Sorry. Go
Okay.
ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, Jesse's he's laundering for big people in the city of New Orleans.
Yeah.
Developers.
This is going to sound weird, but this is the message they're having me say. You have a lot of protection around knowing all of this. Does that make sense?
Did I do?
Yes.
That's why I'm here. I want to know whether I have protection or not.
Ah, okay. That's why that question and that answer.
So I've written a book about all of this already.
Oh, okay.
It's published online. I have been doing it for 4 years.
Yeah,
Chapter
I feel
by
a
chapter.
lot of like psychic and energetic protection for you around this.
Okay.
A lot. I say that saying, that's in the spirit world. So, but just know that too, that you do have a lot of psychic protection around this. They wanted to talk about that. Your guides wanted to talk about this. This makes sense to the dragon at the beginning because dragon imagery is like protection, and then the like imagery of like the fence, and then the like, yeah.
Okay.
All coming full circle, which I love. So just continue to feel into that protection that you have around that as well. Jesse's arrogant enough to, and this is how he puts it, she's like a worm, like feeding off of, off the dirt. Like, doesn't think of you as a big
He calls me
player.
LaFonda. Jesse does.
He just is like, she's just got nothing. That's how he puts it that's how he says it to me.
It's because he thinks the police have protected him.
God, there's so much corruption. It's unreal. Well,
I'm trying to figure out if there's more than those 4 at this place together, or if there's more people there.
I don't feel more people there. I feel more people knowing what was happening.
Yeah.
Does that make
Okay.
sense? Like, I feel the layers out. And again, that's Fahad that's giving me the information. Fahad doesn't, I feel kind of bad for him. Like, I feel like he does not know what he stepped into.
I do not feel bad for him.
Yeah. Sorry. But I don't think he knows
Well,
what he stepped into.
he's been groomed since he was.
Yeah, exactly. He had no choice.
Right.
Jesse, there's a little more choice there. I mean, Cassidy just wants to be a part of, like, fucked up shit. I'm just gonna be real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, again, they're just saying, like, you are protected.
Okay.
Jesse says things to me like, what, are you going to change the whole system, you two? You know, just that arrogance. Do you want to pull a few cards, or do you have more questions? I'm going to check in.
What does pulling cards mean?
You can pull a few tarot cards if you'd like. Just
I still want to know how Seth died.
Okay. Yep. Let me check in with this too.
I have a feeling I know why your throat was closing in.
Ah, okay. At the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 100% not suicide.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go into the energy. I know I say that a lot in readings, but because Seth is just like, why do we want to, why? So he was pushed out a window, correct? But I don't get the sense that the fall killed him. Can I say that?
Yeah, because I don't think he was pushed out a window. I think he was pushed off the roof, and then they broke the window with a drone.
Ah, okay. Because I get the sense that something happened before he fell. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Again, he's saying things like wrong place at the wrong time. He is saying witnessing something he should not have. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do not like this Jesse character. I'm going to say something. It was easier, this is what Jesse says, it was easier to take care of him this way than, I mean, I get the feeling he knew Seth wouldn't be able to become a part of this. He's not going to do that, you know?
This what?
The organization that they have going on.
Oh, that Seth was going to be?
Yeah.
Oh, that was
So
never going to happen.
Yeah, so it's easier to off him than to convince him to tell a bunch of lies.
Okay.
That's how I want to describe that.
Well, I don't even think it's about Seth.
No.
You wonder where I've been. I guess you wonder where